So where do we go from here? We go within, into the eternal now, within to the eternal present moment. This is where we are. We know that none of us had really experienced yesterday and tomorrow, but we're here, we're now here in this moment. So where we go from here is go within yourself, go within, ask questions about the self, try and associate with people who are concerned about knowledge of the self. And do everything as offering service, surrender, submission to our Supreme Being. The more we learn about our Supreme Being, the more we see that our Supreme Being is omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent. This is our own Supreme Being. So we search, get knowledge about our Supreme Being. More knowledge. Seek knowledge, seek truth about the Supreme Being. The more we get knowledge about the Supreme Being, we're thinking about our Supreme Being even more. We say our Supreme Being is absolute purity of existence, eternally. It's the very foundation of our being. So the more we learn about our Supreme Being, the more we think about our Supreme Being. The more we really think about our Supreme Being, the more we're devoted to our Supreme Being. The more we're devoted to our Supreme Being, the more we're ready to offer everything to our Supreme Being. So offering, service, surrender, submission. This helps us to think about our Supreme Being, or associate with our Supreme Being, and by virtue of this association, we're cleansed of those dirty things, that lust, that anger, greed, illusion, madness, and envy, which is dirtying up our consciousness, trying to gratify the senses with external stimulants. Things for the eyes, the nose, the tongue, the belly, the genitals. But the more we go within now, thinking about our Supreme Being, the more we are purified. The more we are purified, the more we return, awaken back into the likeness of our Supreme Self. We might call it the higher self, our Supreme Being. You might call it Supreme Intelligence. You might call it God. You might call it Jinyami. You might call it Allah. It has innumerable names. It's within and beyond all names and forms. We say it's the indivisible, undifferentiated, supreme, absolute purity of existence. And this is the goal of our life. This is the goal that the more we awaken to it, the more we experience fulfillment and eternal peace. It's always here. Peace is here now, in this present moment. So what do we call this supreme intelligence of ours? Whatever name we call it by, we can unite because we have infinitely more in common than we have in difference. We have this infinite, omniscient, supreme intelligence pervading and transcending all of sentient beings. Not just human beings, but all sentient beings are pervaded and transcended by this supreme intelligence. In fact, this is what gives them sentience, this supreme intelligence. So the goal of our life is to reawaken to our relationship, our unity within our Supreme Being. This is the goal, to get back to where we fell down from. We didn't fall down from stupidity. We didn't fall down from anger or lust, greed. Those are contaminants of our consciousness. Anger, lust, greed, illusion, madness, and envy. Those are contaminants of our consciousness. These are the contaminants that keep us confused, tangled up, if you will, in the vicissitudes, the frustrations of so-called life in the material world. And life doesn't have to be a ball of confusion. It doesn't have to be. But as long as we're in ignorance of the self, as long as we are relating to a material body and trying to get satisfaction through the material body, we're confused, dissatisfied, frustrated, aimless, no purpose, no meaning to life itself. So the whole business of this endeavor is to help us reawaken to the nature of the self. The more we regain, the more we awaken to knowledge of the self, real knowledge of the self. Not saying, see, some of us talk about the self and knowledge of the self as a material body. So we relate to a particular nationality, a particular gender, a particular caste, creed, or color, nationalities, etc. And it just causes confusion. We see in certain parts of the world where certain people are discriminated against because of their particular caste. They're called outcasts and treated differently, not just differently, really with disdain. And people think it's their duty to treat them like that. Some people think it is their duty. But we'll find out that we reap what we sow. If we think it's our duty to go around causing pain and suffering to other living beings, we're simply sowing what one day we will have to reap. Why do we sow negativity? Well, we sow it because of the condition of our consciousness. This is another reason why it's so imperative that we engage in cleansing our consciousness. And this whole spiritual practice is about purification of our consciousness. Purifying our consciousness of that lust, that anger, greed, illusion, madness, and envy. As long as we are laboring under that dirty consciousness, we're going to do negative things. And we have to reap what we have sown. So it behooves us, if for no other reason other than that we want to cease suffering, then we have to cleanse our consciousness. Our purification process is about cleansing our consciousness. The more the consciousness is clean, the more the consciousness is cleansed, the more we do negative things to any other sentient being. The more we can have compassion for other living beings. We have real empathy. Why? Because now we're relating to that supreme intelligence which pervades and transcends so-called other living beings. So gradually we are seeing that there's no other. When you're looking from the spiritual platform, you see that this same superior, supreme being within this particular body is within everybody. So the more we relate to this, the more we see the oneness of being. The more it's easy to relate to others as we relate to ourselves. The more we want for our brother, so-called brother, the more we want for ourselves. We want for others that which we want for ourselves. So we're treating others the way we would like to be treated, really, because the other is your own self. There's only you here. Really, in our analysis, there's only you here. So we say to see and serve God in each other. Gradually we see there's no other. There's only God in various disguises, various dress. There's only God. There is no other. God is one. There is no other. So the purification process, we say we're suffering because of the pollution of our consciousness. So the purification process revolves around coming to the spiritual platform, seeing the self as spirit, and always thinking about the Supreme. Always thinking about the Supreme. So how do we do that? How do we come to the spiritual platform? Well, we come to the spiritual platform basically by seeing the self as a spiritual being. That we're not the body with the soul, we're the soul with the body. That we are this intelligence which is pervading and transcending the body. So we come to the spiritual platform, seeing the self as intelligence, that pure energy, that pure force that's pervading and transcending the body. So come to the spiritual platform. Call out the holy name, whichever holy name you have, and surrender everything. When we say surrender, we mean all that you do, all that we offer, all that we give away, all austerities that we perform, we do it as an offering to our Supreme Being. Why? Because this helps us to associate with our Supreme Being. Association brings about assimilation. We say our Supreme Being is a reservoir of all purity and strength. So we want to be clean, we want to get stronger, associate with our Supreme Being. Well, where is this leadership leading us? This leadership is leading us back to the self, the source of all purity and strength. This is where our leadership is leading us. Any leader out here should be able to tell us where they're leading us to. And we should not be afraid or shy about asking the leader, where are you leading me to? Because our supreme leader is within. And any leader should, if they're supposed to be a leader, they should be showing us how to get back to that supreme leader, that eternal leader, which is within us. So we say our process, the process of purification, it brings us back, awakens us, reawakens us to our forgotten relationship with our Supreme Being. And this process of purification means come to the spiritual platform, see the self as spirit. Always think about our Supreme Being. How do we do that? Gather knowledge about our Supreme Being. Offer everything. Offer, surrender, submit. Serve our Supreme Being with every breath we take. All that we eat, all that we drink, all that we give away, all austerities that we perform. Do it as service to our Supreme Being. This is what we call surrender, what we really call surrender. This is surrender, offering everything to our Supreme Being. And this way we always think about our Supreme Being. We're devoted to our Supreme Being. The more we're in this state of consciousness, this state of activity, the more our consciousness is purified of lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and envy. And we reawaken. We come back to the self. This is the leadership. This is the way back to the bliss, the contentment, the eternal awakening of the self.